welcome back to Callista Quarantined Kitchen. Please remember not to cook without an adult. Today we're going to make Margherita Pizza, but I also am going to show you some other pizza ideas because this recipe is really easy to adapt. We'll be making the dough from scratch, and this is super easy and you only need 5 ingredients. A large bowl to mix it in and your hands, so it's fairly basic. The ingredients are 400 grams of flour. I'm using wholemeal spelt flour, but you can use plain flour or wholemeal flour, or you can play around with other types of flours. I use spelt because I like the nutty flavour of it. We're also going to use olive oil, yeast, salt and water, and that's it. Alright, so let's begin making the dough. Okay, so we're going to make our dough. I'm going to measure my flour with the scales, but if you don't have scales at home, you can use a cup measurement. 400 grams is about 3 1/4 cups, just a little bit under the quarter. So if you don't have scales, you can measure it on the cup. So 400 grams. I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of yeast. I always put the dry ingredients in first because once you use this for the olive oil, you can't stick it in the dry ingredients. I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm using Himalayan pink rock salt just because it's yummy, but you can use any type of salt. A tablespoon of olive oil and a cup of nice warm water. The warm water activates the yeast, so it needs to be reasonably warm. And then I'm just going to mix it together till it forms a dough. Make sure you've remembered to wash your hands first. Okay, once the dough starts kind of coming together, I'm going to tip it onto a clean bench and knead it. If you're kneading by hand, you need to knead the dough for probably about 10 minutes because you want it to become nice and rubbery. The gluten in the dough is what makes it rubbery. I thought I'd tell you guys while I'm kneading that pizza is the #1 fast food in the world, and it's so much healthier and yummier when you make your own. You can choose whatever you like to put on it. I put some interesting things on my pizzas. I like things like sweet corn. And I like my pizzas Italian style, so nice and thin, a bit crispy around the edges, and with not too many ingredients on the top. So you can see that this dough is really coming together. You kind of need to put your body weight behind it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to keep kneading this for maybe another 10 minutes until it becomes quite rubbery, and then I will show you guys what it looks like before I start proving it. Okay, so I've been kneading this now for maybe just over 10 minutes, and you can see that it's really springy and rubbery, and it's perfect and ready to go. So now we need to sit it covered in a bowl for about an hour in a warm spot. So I'm going to put it back in the bowl that we mixed it in. I'm going to cover it with some cling wrap, and I'm going to turn the oven on to preheat it. The oven I normally have for pizza at about 250 degrees. I have it nice and hot because I want the pizza to cook quite quickly. So we're putting the plastic wrap over the top. to keep the heat in and to make the yeast work a little faster. So I'm going to put this over on the oven and preheat the oven to 250 degrees. Okay, so our dough has been proving for about an hour and it's risen. So I'll take the plastic off, and with 400 grams of flour you could probably get around 4 pizzas out of it. 3 or 4 large pizzas. I'm going to cut mine into quarters. And pull out enough just for one to start with. So I'll knead it again. And my first tip for rolling out the perfect pizza is that you start with a perfect ball. If it's a nice round shape to begin with, you'll have a better chance of it being a nice round shape to end with. So some flour on the bench. You don't want too much flour, you don't want to dry the dough out or make it too tough. And then rolling it, I tend to roll it and then push it around with my rolling pin. Work it a couple of times each way so that you are making a really nice circle shape. Initially it will be hard to roll, but as you roll it more, it will become easier and easier to stretch. Oops. I don't know if you guys can hear at home, but my cat and dog are chasing each other around the kitchen as I'm cooking. Okay, so here's my pizza tray. I'm going to spray it with a really thin coat of oil. And to get my pizza dough from the bench onto the pizza tray, I'm going to roll it up over the rolling pin and onto the pizza tray. Oh, I've made it a little bit too big, but that's alright. Perfect. Okay, so my pizza's ready to have the toppings put on. Margherita is super simple, just tomato sauce, cheese and some fresh basil. I use Jamie Oliver's tomato sauce. It's just a tomato and basil sauce. It's not a shameless plug, but his sauce uses far less sugar than most sauces and it's really, really nice flavour. You can use any type of tomato sauce though, and at the moment it's really hard to find these products in the supermarket, so you can use tomato paste and put fresh herbs or dried herbs with it. You could use passata, you could crush fresh tomatoes, whatever you can get your hands on will work and will be delicious. So I'm just going to put a couple of spoons on. I don't want to put too much on because I don't want it to go soggy. And I'm going to spread it right to the edges. I'm just using a soup spoon. And you want to get a good coverage, but not so much that when you pick the pizza up it falls apart in your hands. Then I'm going to take some fresh basil and place it reasonably randomly on the pizza. This has got a really strong flavour, so you don't need a lot. And the cheese that I'm using is a mix of cheddar, parmesan and mozzarella. Again, whatever you can find in the supermarket will be good. I don't like to put too much cheese on because again it just becomes a bit of a soggy mess. But you want to have a good coverage right to the edges. So that's looking pretty yummy. This is ready to go into the oven now. So I think around 8 minutes, but I'll let you know when it's ready. So the oven will be really hot when you open the door. Be really careful. Here are a few other ideas for pizzas. There are 6 people in my family, so we need lots of pizza when I make pizza. So these are some of our favourite ones. This one is a pulled chicken with corn and cheese, sweet corn. It's just canned sweet corn. It also has tomato sauce. This is one of my favourites. I really like the corn on the pizza. This one is really thinly sliced potato with pesto, tomato sauce, parmesan and salt and pepper. This one is chorizo sausage with a tomato base with some sun-dried tomatoes, jalapenos and cheese. And this one here also has a tomato base with hot Hungarian salami, mushrooms, capsicum and cheese. And I'll show you how they all look when they're cooked. So our Margherita pizza is now ready to take it out of the oven. It did take exactly 8 minutes to cook and it looks really delicious. Here it is. I'm just going to pop it onto the board carefully because it's hot. Chop it up. And that is now ready to eat. Dinner's ready! Dinner's ready, guys! Finally. So really you can put anything on pizza that you would like to eat. Here is the chicken and corn. Looks delicious. Pesto and parmesan and potato. The chorizo with jalapeno and sun-dried tomatoes. And the Hungarian salami with capsicum and mushroom. They look seriously delicious and I'm really hungry. So please remember to share any photos of cooking that you do at home. I'd love to see some interesting pizzas. Send any questions that you have, I will be more than happy to answer them. And please make sure you're cooking with an adult. Tune in next week for another delicious cooking at home video. Miss you all and hope you're well. Bye.